So, welcome everyone. Let's take a moment of silence to just gather ourselves and be here in the body, in the mind, bringing it back to the body. So, if anyone would like to read the opening aspiration for all of us, please go ahead.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I'll work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord, and have joy and a world at peace.
Yeah, thank you. So, we were going through verse 6, and I realized that we hadn't really it's nowhere near winding up. I'm sorry. I thought we have to wind it up today and we have to maybe start verse 7, but we still have to go through a lot of verse 6, which is through reliance on a true spiritual friend, one's faults will fade and good qualities will grow like a waxing moon. To consider him even more precious than one's own body is the practice of a bodhisattva. So here we have just reached this page, and today we have to take it up from the Buddha said. What I think here only, yeah, yes, this much. I'm hoping this was the correct start that we have to do. If anyone remembers, you can share. Yeah. So anyone would like to read? You can start from here. The Buddha said what I think I say.
I'll read it. The Buddha said, "What I think, I say, and what I say, I do. This I can say for myself." Such perfect integrity. As much as possible, we should not only try to exemplify that in our life. I'll try that one more time. As much as possible, we should not only try to exemplify that in our life, but also associate with good friends, because they will always remind us of our own potential and where we are going. Sometimes, when we just read these things in books, they all become a bit distant, far away. But when we actually see somebody who embodies these qualities, then we recognize it is possible for us as well. They are human beings. I am a human being. Why not? Should I continue?
I think we can take a pause here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, any reflections, any thoughts are welcome.
Yeah, I guess this when Jagan was reading this fact that what I think I say, what I say I do. I mean, we call this integrity, right? It seems like, why is it anything else ever for me, right? Why do I think different, say different, and do different? And yet it can be so simple. I remember as a child, I had read something from the Buddha, and there were some teachers telling us something, and she said that, out of the four main things she said, Buddha had said, and out of those, I think the second she said was that if you have a problem, like if you're A and if you have a problem with B, talk to B about it. Don't talk to C, D, E. So, but that's what we do. We will not talk to B, but we'll talk to four other people. But she said when you do this, the problem remains and it will rather become bigger. So if you actually want to solve the issue, then talk to B, and that's the only thing you should be doing. Otherwise, don't talk. So that sounded so simple again, and yet somehow the simple things escape us. And for simplicity, again, there is this, journey back home, which that's what we're all trying to do. So it's so nice to again and again and again see that actually this is a movement from complications to simplicity. And yeah, it's very endearing and motivating.
I'd also like to add that it is pretty challenging to put this into practice, as in aligning your actions with your words. So, the thought translates into words, and then the words translate into action. And it takes a lot of discipline to do that, because sometimes you might say some things, but we don't actually live up to it in terms of our actions. That's one part. The other part I also think is that, just personally for me, is it's also the discerning aspect of it, right? That we have so many thoughts, but then we have to be discerning as to which of those thoughts you want to voice out, and how is that going to play, whether it's in your actions or how it's going to affect people around you. I wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. What these three lines that you and Taru just reflected upon, very, very important and crucial. And since all of us are also a little bit inclined towards integral yoga of Mother Sri Aurobindo, so so what he says here is why we are not able to do this. What I think I say, and what I say I do. So there is like simplicity, as Taru was sharing, and clarity. And the garbage, unnecessary garbage, is not there. Like there is a unification in the being. And when we talk about integral yoga, this is what we have to do, all of us. That mind is saying something else because of the conditioning and patterns it has been following. The feelings and impulses are following a different way. They want something else. They are not listening to the reason. Body wants something else. So there is no unification in the being. And a Buddha can say that because the being is unified. There is just one direction in which things can go, like self mastery is there. And otherwise, it is all silence in the being. But if we look at our being, if we become conscious of our being, we see that there is so much old patterns which now have become redundant. They may be of use when we were young and other things were happening. They may be of use there, and that's why they existed. But as if their ghosts are still there with us, and they are going on and on and on like a old machinery running unnecessarily, and all that chatter is there in the being. And in Sri Aurobindo's yoga, we see the first step they stress upon is dig deeper, find your psychic being, so that this being, mind, feelings, thoughts, emotions, body gets unified. And then I can say that, okay, what I think I say, like there is a clarity, it's a unified center from which operation is happening. Unnecessary left right garbage is not there, and what I say I do. So purposeful clarity and direction. Body, speech, mind are all aligned with the inner guidance. And this is what our effort is. This is what we have to do. We have to unify our being with this inner guidance that is there, and rest everything has to be rejected. 3 steps: aspiration, rejection, surrender. And we cannot let go of these 3 steps before we have reached a certain stage. Even when we are constantly saying that, oh, I love the mother and that is enough, no, but you will see that at many places I may intellectually think that I'm in love with the mother, but I am following the dictates of something else which I have to reject. So यहाँ पे personal effort is very important in order that the being becomes unified with that purity within, and nothing else is thought. Even imagine the first 3 sentences: nothing else is thought if not from that unified center of being within. So the mechanical chatter also is gone. So this can't happen if we don't put the effort in unification of our being. This is what we have to do.
Thank you for that. I liked what you mentioned about unification and the purpose, like, being purposeful and unification. So that gives it definitely a lot of clarity and a sense of direction.
Yeah. So this is what all of us have to do. Again, nothing that I'm quoting from my own. This is just integral yoga of Mother Sri Aurobindo, that first find the one divine center in you and unify your thought accordingly, unify your feelings accordingly. The body must also listen to that dictate only. Then this clarity can come, what we were reading. Rest everything has to go. It takes effort. Today we were discussing that when we are cultivating this thing, unification, it seems that as if we are cultivating something unnatural. And it seems unnatural because we are just not habituated to it. But we have to put this effort, because right now what is natural for us is all our older patterns and grooves in which we have been running for so long. Now they are not benefiting us. That seems natural. So effort seems unnatural. When we have to learn swimming and first time we are trying to make some movement, it seems so unnatural. But we still do the effort for the love of it and knowing that no, I want to do it. So yeah, a lot of decluttering required at this step. And as much as possible, we should not only try to exemplify that in our own life, but also associate with good friends, because they will always remind us of our own potential and where we are going. Now, this thing is very, again, helpful to read all the times we need reminders. Again, when we read any master or Mother Sri Aurobindo, we read. So it reminds us that we all, like Buddhism reminds us that we all have Buddha nature. No matter how big a sinner you have been, even now you can take a U-turn and find it and live through it. Sri Aurobindo tells us that there is a psychic being within each one of us, soul consciousness, which we have to find, dig deeper, find it, and know that as my true consciousness. So knowing that no matter how far we may have come, doing all the mistakes, okay, wasted half of our life, doesn't matter. Whatever, at whatever stage I get up, I feel ready. There the treasure lies safe for me. This is how it uplifts us. So what these lines were sharing, that a good friend or these words will always remind us of our potential. That this potential is always here with us. कितनी भी गलतियां हो गई हैं, they all are nothing in front of what has to be reclaimed. Like a diamond remains a diamond even if it is found in the drain, right? So if you clean it, it's still a diamond and valued very preciously. So just like that, our true nature. So sometimes when we just read these things in books, they all become a little bit distant, far away, like seems like a philosophy, more like philosophy. But when we actually see somebody who embodies these qualities, then we recognize, oh, it is possible for us as well. They are human beings. I am a human being. Why not? How beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So anything here on this paragraph before we go ahead? If not, then we can move ahead. So if anyone would like to read, please go ahead.
I can go ahead. Do you want me to read till enough?
That was enough. Yeah. Yeah. This much at least you should read, yes.
Okay. When the Tibetans in exile first arrived in India, there were many great lamas who had been trained in Tibet and were quite traditional. They didn't speak English, and most of the Westerners who came to see them at that time didn't speak Tibetan. There wasn't much you could do. You just sat there. That was all that was needed. People would meet these masters and think, well, I don't know what you believe, but I'm going for it. Because these lamas were the personification of a perfect human being. Here was the embodiment of our own great potential sitting in front of us, smiling away, not saying anything, not doing anything, just being. And that was enough.
Yeah, thank you. This, yeah, beautiful, really. It's like it gives me a feeling like when we sit next to a flower or a beautiful place, just being there feels like very uplifting itself. Like maybe you are sitting with the sunset in front of you, or a beautiful garden, wherever one feels really relaxed and uplifted. And that presents it just enough. It communicates something. But here it talks of that embodiment of that truth, that those people who are not only talking about these things but are embodiment of these qualities. Purity, embodiment of purity. It's like just being in their company feels enough, because that tells you that what possibilities are there for each one of us. And many a times it happens that people may be actually very good speakers, speaking very good, but somehow when you are in their company, it like as if you feel, we all have that sense, we sense that gap, that no, something is not fully translated, what one speaks and what one is. While here there is a language barrier, they are not speaking English, but being in just their presence, one knows that this is truth embodied. Yeah. Yeah, so anything anyone wants to add on or share here on this paragraph?
Yeah, you know what you were sharing, that when one is, say, sitting with a beautiful flower, you suddenly feel more beautiful, right? Like you not maybe feel beautiful, but you feel the beauty in and around you. And it's vice versa also, that if I am feeling, uplifted, if I am feeling, if I have that wonder in me, then even like a dry leaf can be the most perfect thing from the universe, right? Perfect creation from the universe. So how it all affects, like, everything is affected by where I am. And here they're talking about sitting live with the person who has embodied something that you want to be. But I just wanted to say that even when we visit places, where, say, a perfect yogi had lived, you feel that vibration, you feel that stillness in that space, that, and it's very beautiful and it's very strong. Like, and that's the reason why people go to a lot of, they call it mats, mat in Hindi, right? Like, jahan pe they would stay, the gurus and all. And so imagine that even after leaving the body, the place, still the energy, the vibrations there are so strong. So, and it also shows that how today, in today's world, we are so much about words and expressions and communications and understanding. And how only if I could, be silent for some time and just allow the perfect to happen. I don't need much words, right? Like, I may not need, but in my, I don't know, continuity of habit to understand, I keep sticking to a habit. So this also is a pattern break, right? That they couldn't understand and it just still just felt right. I remember like Jetsunmala in her book, A Cave in the Snow, she had mentioned that when she heard the name of her Lama, she had not seen him, she had not met him, she didn't know anything about him. And she heard the name and she said that he will be my Lama. That's it, right? And then he came and she was in front of her, can give me your. So it's just so there's a knowing that we know if we can just allow ourselves to know it or believe in it.
Yeah, let's go further. Yeah, if anyone is feeling ready, we can read starting from many Hindu devotees, and maybe two paragraphs we can read.
I'll go.
Yes.
Many Hindu devotees have the custom of darshan, which means seeing. In darshan, you go into the temple and you sit there and look at the Guru. The Guru doesn't do anything, they just sit there being the Guru. If it is a genuine master, then that is enough. But there are a lot of charlatans too. Through reliance on a true spiritual friend, one's faults will fade and good qualities will grow like a waxing moon. Means that if we are under the guidance of a genuine teacher, then that teacher will help me pointing out our faults and encouraging our virtues. They might not necessarily speak about our faults, but in some way, they will create situations where our faults come to the surface and we can see them. In that kind of nurturing atmosphere, it is like being in a hot house where plants will grow much better because they are in an environment set up to be conducive for their growth.
Yeah, thank you. One thing which is there is I feel that if there, so it's about slowly perfecting ourselves, looking at our weaknesses, imperfections, faults, and then working on them, not taking it to our heart again and again. Because if I take all the faults on my heart, then I won't be able to improve. If every little fault that comes in front of me makes me hurt, then we won't be able to really perfect ourselves. So, what truly is needed here is a drop of love. And we see that people who we can call a spiritual friend or we can call our guru, that is the bond that glues us together, because that there is love between spiritual friends or guru and disciple, and the other person, whatever, even if he's talking about, okay, here is where you can improve and here you did maybe not that better, then it doesn't hurt us that much, and we can take it very easily because there is love in that relationship. And that is why it compels me to work, because it's coming from a person who I know genuinely loves me and cares for me. Otherwise it's very hard, it hits our ego hard. But that drop of love is like, it's like a, what do we say, lubricant, that although that other person may be showing us our fault, but it hits us not like right on the head, and we are not hurt that much. We in fact want to work on it, because it's coming to a through a person who is genuine, and there is a bond that deeply connects one another. So I feel that's very important here. Otherwise it's, we can forget about working on our faults and weaknesses, because if there is not a drop of genuine love, and again talking of these interactions that we have, whether with spiritual friend or a genuine teacher, so I feel this love keeps us going together, and know that the other person is not saying uh, out of a wrong center. There is genuine love and genuine care and benefit that the other person wants for you. So then the work can start and go on. And also it comes to me that life, if we don't have a live teacher, if we don't have a physical teacher, life is our, all of us, our biggest teacher. And circumstances are created in such a way that our faults show up, our weaknesses show up, we fall, we make mistakes, and it is us who have to look at it and correct the error, because we have been given that light of consciousness which sees, which sees that, oh, this has come up and maybe I can address it. So as here it says, they might not necessarily speak about our faults, but in some way they create situations where our faults will come to the surface. And life all the time keeps on creating these situations, if only we have a sight to see and use them for our growth. And then all the life can be actually a hothouse, people who really want to work on themselves. There is no dearth, as you were sharing, that even a blade of dried glass may become something beautiful. So there is no dearth of possibilities of growing and progressing, even if we may not have a physical guru or a life teacher. Yeah, anything here? Anyone?
Yeah, I think what you just shared is really important, because I would read this and I would say, but I don't have anybody. I don't have a lama. I don't have any guru specifically that I can identify with or sit in front of. So this probably, is not for me, like something like this. But it is the truth that if I'm ready, if I want to learn, the whole life is a hothouse. But when something happens to me, I just cry out and say I'm the victim rather than seeing what it's there to teach me. And nothing works, nothing happens, there's no progress, there's no growth. So if I'm ready and well, when we were reading it, I was also reminded of Ek Lavya, right? Like how Dronacharya refused to have him as a student because he could see he could be even better than Arjun. And yet, with his just dedication, his devotion towards the energy that Dronacharya signified, he made that statue. He started practicing himself, and then further even offered Guru Dakshina, that although he wasn't there physically, because he had taken inspiration from him. How beautiful is that, right? Because that inspiration was Eklavya. That there was no Dronacharya there. Dronacharya, yeah. So it's very strange, but that how he actually, not strange, but how we are not that limited. We can do that, and he ended up being so good. And they say that the day Dronacharya asked for that thumb was the day when he just kind of, जैसे कहते हैं ना, कीचड़ डाल दिया अपने सारे लाइफ की डूइंग्स पे, कि he showed that what he chose was, he chose the false, he chose the wrongdoings than the truth. So Eklavya is considered the ideal devotee, but Dronacharya lost his footing as as an ideal guru for it. Yeah.
I'd also like to add further to what you both mentioned. I'm just thinking about it in a sense of, so the guidance or your guide or your guru or teacher could A be another person. So in that respect, what the intent is, that would come across in a positive reinforcement delivery of what they want to point out. Let's say your faults, quote unquote. I'd like to say areas of growth, but so something that you can work on. And then I'm also thinking that if you, let's say, if one continues to do the inner work, and in the absence of a guru, like another physical being, then maybe you can exercise your psychic being to give you that guidance from within in the absence of a teacher. So that when you are constantly working on yourself, and let's say you don't have someone else to maybe open you up to where you can have your areas of growth and work on, then when you're working within, like doing that inner work, then it can sort of propel you or steer you on that path where you can get that guidance also from your own inner guru. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But the problem with us is that we are full of confusions, and the clarity is not there. So we may mistake guidance for something which is a caprice of our lower nature. We may not know it. And that is why reliance on true spiritual friend or true spiritual guru will then come into picture and become so important, because as I am myself, I may think that I am taking guidance from my psychic being, but that may not be true. I may be fooling myself, because we are very clever we are. So that is why in some stages of life, it's good to have physical true spiritual friends around, or maybe because we don't have that sense, true sincerity, most of us don't have. We are very happy to fool ourselves, and we think that we are doing us a favor, but we are not. We are, yeah. Although that what you shared makes sense, but there are stages in life where we can't be sure of our sincerity, and there it's good to take help or suggestion, or what we were reading, reliance on a true friend, है ना, क्योंकि नहीं होता है हमें अभी. And again, it depends upon stages to stages. There may come a stage where that connect that you were sharing with the inner guru is so strong that you don't need to ask anyone, you just know and you do it. That, of course, that is our possibility. But for a long time, that is not our possibility, and only I would know whether it's my true guidance or it's something kuch locha chal raha hai, So, and at times I may even not know that locha chal raha hai, and I may continue to fool myself. Yeah.
So for sure, a point well taken about having that guru. Let's say I'm speaking about a situation when there is not that spiritual friend with you, or there's not that a spiritual guru with you, and you don't have someone. So in that situation, what would one do? That's one aspect of it. The other thing, like you mentioned, yes, at what stage are you? So for example, like certain times, maybe, I might look forward to getting some guidance through a friend, or maybe through my therapist, or whoever that I feel that can guide me in the situation. And I don't have that person with me, then maybe as I'm on my healing journey and I've been doing the inner work, and not to say that I've arrived, right? Because we never really arrive. But while I'm doing this and I'm in that stage, then perhaps I can see that how is my body feeling with this decision? And, like it just feels good. It feels peaceful. I'm not harming anybody by doing this. And this is for my own growth. Maybe through my self-reflection, I have come to that conclusion. Again, I'm not an expert, but while I'm doing this, and again, just to keep in mind that I don't have anybody at that time. So in that situation, would you say that, or would you be able to suggest then what can one do if one doesn't have a guru at that time or a spiritual friend?
Beautiful. I think you said really what is most powerful, because even the true spiritual friend, see, if you put a condition like a factual situation in front of a friend, if he's a true spiritual friend, he would not be able to give you a yes and no answer, that okay, go this way and go not go this way, because nobody can be sure about what is your unfolding of life. And a true spiritual friend will actually guide you in such a way that you are able to sense that from within, what you were sharing, that my body feels empowered when I go this way. So the person's task is just to put you in touch with that knowing within you, which already knows, which right now you can't see, the blindness that usually we have. So yes, I think that's very powerful what you shared, because we know, all of us know, it's just that our desires and passions they put a curtain in us and they blind our knowing. So the person can only show that, oh, see, something is insincere, can you look, and you yourself will be able to remove that curtain, and we know. And what you were sharing about the first question is that if always I can have an aspiration that I see this, but how can I be sure? I'm not sure. So always keeping this like a loose space whenever we have an inward communion with the divine, when, as you said, that okay, there is nobody around, no person can I get in touch with. So always talking inner communion with the divine, that see, this is what I feel and this is what it seems like, this is the path I should take, but if there is anything which I am mistaking, and please stop me and correct me, show me. And we always are shown in some way or the other. So always we can keep this little loose space in which the guidance can come, and it comes, that although I see this, but I'm not sure, so will you guide me, and please stop me if I'm not wrong, right?
Thank you. That's put beautifully, because that's exactly what I do when I don't have that so-called person or the guide, or, and I just sit with myself and I literally just extend my arms to the divine and I say, just guide me, please, because I don't know whether what I'm doing is right or wrong, right? But I have to take a certain step. I have to do some action. But just guide me. And, if this is not good for me, then let it not happen, because I don't know what's good for me or not. So that's the trust I put, or that's the faith I put in the divine, that
Beautiful.
he is going to guide me or she's going to guide me.
Yeah.
There is this quote from Sri Aurobindo also, right? I would be paraphrasing, but like, this thing that the first principle of teaching is that nothing can be taught. I think that is one. And the second is that the teacher is just a torch, right? He's not showing you something you don't know, or you're not already are, but he's just a torchlight that says that, oh, this is it. So what you were saying was beautifully connecting.
Yes, thank you, Taruna. Just the concept of the guide, that's what they're doing. That really, it's within all of us, and we just ignite that part of us, and we focus on that through the inner work and through guidance. And so, yes, they show us the way. That's exactly the guide. Thank you.
And just, you said that when they are not available, you spoke about a therapist or a good friend. I think if it's a good therapist or a good friend, he would also make sure that you're not dependent on him or her like that, right? Like he would always point you towards what you already know, kind of that knowing also, I feel is very important. And that pushing also is very important, that don't get stuck with me too, right? Like, yeah.
And I love that. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's exactly what my therapists do. So when I have my session, I notice that in my session, I'm pretty much, they're just like a guide. They just like steer me to think for myself, because I have a brain. And they're like, and I pretty much I think I bring forth some issue and they help me to explore it. And they're not sitting and telling you, okay, you should do this, because then I'm not using my brain. But then they're just sort of steering it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I think I can try this and I can try this. And so they allowing that freedom with a sort of an accountability, but they're just like there as a guide. So it's beautifully put, like you mentioned about the torch, right? Just, showing the light and you just follow. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so let's read a little bit ahead if that's okay. Uh, Starting from, but even if we don't happen to have. Yeah, if anyone would like to read.
Yeah, I'll read. But even if we don't happen to have any particular spiritual teacher at this time, we can still cultivate meeting with people who are an inspiration and who genuinely embody the teaching. And even if we don't have a personal relationship, just being in their presence can be helpful. Again, on a more relative level, we can also try to be selective with our ordinary friends and, as much as possible, to be with people who share the same values. Because otherwise, as I say, we get badly influenced and can get ourselves into a lot of trouble. The spiritual teacher in Tibetan Buddhism is considered important because, as with any skill, if we want to learn properly, it is better to have a teacher. If we want to be a musician, learn football or cricket, or understand computers, it is obviously better to have a trained teacher who can tell us what to do and what not to do. Not only does it make learning quicker, it also prevents us from picking up all sorts of bad habits we are not conscious of. and that later down the road will create a big obstacle to really mastering our skill. Whereas if at the beginning we have a good teacher who says, no, don't do it that way, do it like this, or encourages us when we do things right, we won't make so many mistakes and we will make much quicker progress. Additionally, we will develop more confidence that we are doing it. Ritu, if you're saying something, you're not audible, at least to me.
No, no, I'm not saying anything. I just got unmuted.
Yeah, anyone? Anything here? Yeah, if it's all clear, then we can also go ahead. If there is no reflection or question here, we can move ahead.
Not relevant to this particular paragraph, but as a whole, um, when Taru ma'am was sharing that Dronacharya and forgot the person's name, um,
Eklavya.
Ekalavya, Ekalavya's story, and I find that there is always an inner guru. I totally believe in it. It's just that I find there are good gurus and bad gurus in me as well. And to listen to my true inner calling, there are some situations which organically bring um, organically put me in a state where I find that, okay, you know what, this is my inner calling, and then I go on with that calling for a bit, and then what happens is the fear kicks in, and the fear starts reasoning. It tells that, it always tells me especially that, um, like, you want to do this, then why did you do that? You want to go here, then why did you come here? It keeps on telling that. And at this point in my life, at this point, I find that the true answer to this is to have a quiet mind, and to be able to be more sincere towards the mother. That is my answer. But at this point, I also find that having a guru expedites the process externally. Talking to a guru, and telling the guru that, this is where I am, and I have this feeling of inner calling, but the only problem is, if I go with this inner calling right now, tomorrow the fear, I'm not able to handle the fear, or I'm not able to get rid of the fear. I am in a very dangerous situation, because then I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So until I don't win over my fears. I, and until I totally, I'm not able to consecrate to the mother entirely, not just by talking, but just by having that inner thing. I find that um, like an external guru will help me sooner. There'll always be an inner calling. Now, like you once said, like this life or next life, there'll be one guru who will just move, tell me that change. No, there's you've had too much. But having an external guru is I feel myself fortunate that there is a very good chance of me to change in this life alone. So just wanted to share that.
I think we underestimate the power of mother. And she's physically not there with us, but we underestimate. Really, I feel. Those of us, I think all of us who are here today, at least to this group, we can talk that we are in touch with the mother to whatever degree. We know the mother's name, we know she is there, her words are there. And what you were talking about, expediting the process. I personally feel that she has given us this light of consciousness which is always with us. You said, we have always with us this inner guru, the light of consciousness with which I see and look at things is my personal guru all the time, if I use it. If I don't want to see something, then that's, of course, I'm pushing the guru aside. But the light of consciousness with which I see things, I see my own mistakes, I see my own, how I become my own wall, that is there throughout with us. Nobody can take it away. I may land up in prison, but the light of consciousness, no jailer can take it away from me. They may take my clothes, they may take my possessions, the light of consciousness they can't take away. So intimate it is with me. And with that light of consciousness, it is mother's presence in us. And I felt like crying because I feel that we underestimate mother's presence. We have no idea, if I'm true to this light of consciousness, how fast she can take us forward. We have no clue. And this is what we have to have certitude in. Absolute reliance on. Again, talking to those who have a connect with the mother. Fastest way forward we have been given. NH8 क्या होगा इसके सामने? Like, there. But we are so dependent on external situations that it takes a little conviction from our hand, and many experiences and blows, that I become to solely rely on mother's presence. And then it becomes concrete, and then I can't say that no, expedite the process is not happening, because you see it happening. When you see it happening as a proof, then you can't say that कुछ और चाहिए. हमें कुछ और इसलिए चाहिए होता है क्योंकि जो है ऑलरेडी हमारे पास, उसको हम वैल्यू नहीं करते, उसका हम सही इस्तेमाल नहीं करते, है ना. आप देखो 24 hour of the day, and again mind me, because I am talking to a group who is knowing the mother, so I can talk this here. 24 hour of the day I have. How many are those moments where I'm solely being relying on the mother? I know that I can improve there, because many a times I rely on my thoughts. I rely on, this is not making sense, so let me not, always relying on my thoughts. So this is what I feel personally, again, in the context of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, that our process can be expedited to such a degree that we actually won't be able to handle it with her presence. इतनी पावर है, बट वो मुझे तभी पता लगती है जब आई मेक यूज ऑफ इट. And it is even more concrete than their mother said, that pehle to mother was physically out there, and when she suddenly went away, people felt a void. Many people who actually initially felt a void, they actually felt and shared that पहले तो हमें वो बाहर ही दिखती थी, अब तो I can feel her concretely inside, as if she has actually left a physical portion of her inside us. But if my senses are all the time outwardly focused, how will I sense that, oh, there is a portion of her in me? As concrete as, like a, as concrete as this. लेकिन वो अभी क्योंकि बना नहीं है कॉन्क्रीट, तो ऐसा लगता है नहीं ये चाहिए मुझे अभी, है ना, ये चाहिए अभी, क्योंकि वो मैं फील नहीं कर पा रहा, सो आई फील दैट दिस इज जस्ट अ फेज all of us have to go through, and we will all go through this, and there will come a phase where that inner presence becomes so concrete. And I'm not saying that we don't need spiritual friends, they all are important, words are important, discussions, talks, are important, silence has its own importance. But at times, since we are very sticky, we are very sticky beings, so even we begin to stick everywhere, we have this tendency. But one which is sticking inside, if we can solely rely on that, ना बहुत डबल ट्रिपल स्पीड से बात आगे बढ़ती है. तो yeah, this is what was coming to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that is absolutely beautiful. What you said is, how many times do I think about the mother? And just right now, when you ask the question, I can honestly say none. And I think that is something I will remember from this moment onwards, because wow, that is so obvious, yet how easily I've forgotten it. So yeah, I will remember that. And also, I was just listening to, I was just remembering what I said before, right before you started speaking, and I said good guru and bad guru. So my apologies, I take it back. I don't think there is a bad guru. It's just in my head, and I'm not. I have no right to say there is a bad guru. So my apologies for that. Also, another thing, one of those sessions where you said one needs one may not be able to have that level of clarity in this lifetime, maybe next lifetime. And I ended up with this in the session saying it's sad that it's not happening in this lifetime. And and there were so many examples given that some for someone, uh I don't I'm just rephrasing this. I don't exactly know the story, but there was a disciple. I was told that uh, he is told that um, you'll have to practice. So okay, the number of times, so the number of leaves there are on the tree, you'll have to practice consecration that many number of times before you get what you need. And either the disciple has a choice to be sad and think, oh my God, I have to do it so many times, or to just uh, feel that, wow, I get so many opportunities. Actually, Taru ma'am told me this, and that is, and I sat after, and I was thinking about it, and I thought, you know, I will be very honest. Right now, when I heard that, I was the second example. I was not happy to, have to try so many times to to reach there. But even right now, I do not think I'm happy to try so many times. But I really want to do that. To even enjoy in the process of transformation. They enjoy the transforming process, to go through the ups and downs, instead of just thinking that I want to be there. I want to have a clear mind, but there are so many things, experiences that come in the way. So I am trying to develop that mindset, where I will also enjoy the process and not just the result. So yeah, I'll ask for some questions or doubts if I have any in the future. Thank you.
So I think this again just reiterating this point that on a relative level, it is good to be selective with our ordinary friends, to be with people who share the same values. So maybe share the same path that we are treading, similar inclinations of wanting to move towards truth and greater clarity, rather than maybe getting again and again distracted to something which we may not want to get distracted to. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's maybe we can take a little bit and then we can see what to do. So, if anyone feels ready, we can read if this is true for learning practical skills. What about truly? So, if you want to read, you can start from here and maybe go until here. They do have a teacher. Yeah, anyone?
I can read.
Yes, please.
If this is true for learning practical skills, what about truly understanding and transcending the conceptual mind? We need guidance to intuit the nature of the mind and then to stabilize the realization. I also need someone to keep me from being carried away when experiences come up. Uh, And we think we are already enlightened. We need a teacher. And Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche notes, my apologies if I pronounce it incorrectly, all accompanied practitioners of the past attained enlightenment by following a spiritual teacher. They would start their search by listening to accounts of the doings of different masters. When the stories they heard about a teacher were particularly inspiring, they would examine their qualities from a distance before committing themselves. Once they had complete confidence in the teacher, they would go into their presence, serve them, and one pointedly put whatever instructions they gave them into practice. It is hard to attain enlightenment on our own. Very, very hard actually. We can't just learn from books. Books can get us started and be helpful, and nowadays a lot of teachings can be downloaded off the internet. But this can never replace a personal relationship with a teacher if we can get it. The problem is getting it. Finding teachers who are genuinely qualified is not so easy. Even if someone is a genuine teacher, then they'll usually then they have usually got a whole organization around them to protect them from seeing anybody, and they run around the global constant and then they run around the globe constantly setting up their dharma centers. It is actually quite a challenge. Many people come to me complaining because they do not have a teacher. Then others come along complaining because they do have a teacher. Thank you.
So again, I would just reiterate, because we have the mother. We should not forget that we have the mother. We have her all the time, and that's what we have to rely upon, and not on our thoughts and disturbed feelings, but we have to pinpointedly unite ourselves with her consciousness. Then things really, really take place. uh, because if I keep parallelly myself entangled in my thoughts and feelings, and all the time believing in my all the stories that appear in my head, buying into them and wanting to correct dots there, fix dots there, and then I say that I rely on the mother, then it doesn't make sense, because I'm not doing that. So we have to be really sure here what we are doing and what we are saying.
Ma'am, can I request you to
Yeah.
read that passage between all accomplished and gave them into
Mm-hmm.
practice, the
Mm-hmm.
one by
Mm-hmm.
then quote?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All accomplished practitioners of the past attained enlightenment by following a spiritual teacher. They would start their search by listening to accounts of the doings of different masters. When the stories they heard about a teacher were particularly inspiring, they would examine their qualities from a distance before committing themselves. And once they had complete confidence in the teacher, they would go into their presence, serve them, and one pointedly put whatever instructions they gave them into practice. So this is, I think, being loyal basically to once you have chosen, then you don't keep doubting the teacher, but choose wisely. That's what, Dalai Lama also shares, that if you are selecting a physical spiritual teacher, then take 12 years, keep judging him, keep discerning, because his actions should speak out louder than his words. So his presence will tell you, his daily schedule, everything, will tell you that, okay, this is the teacher I want. And then pinpointedly, you just rely on that teacher. So nowadays it's very hard to find true, genuine, physically alive teachers, because, and again, we have to see the context is different, and we also have to see that we have the presence of mother with us, which we have read in Savitri. It's a golden key, so we can fully rely, and not keep doubting that whether I will receive help from her or not. Mother is not physically here. Will she help me? Will she see what I'm, waiting for? So that doubt has to go away slowly, because doubt keeps us neither here nor there. So when I think this was about physically selecting a teacher, that be very cautious when you are selecting. But once you have selected, then don't doubt and question. Because when teachers say things, it's very hard to be around a physical genuine teacher. It's very hard, because slowly it works on our ego, and when the ego shatters, it's actually, you may even curse the guru at times, because it's hard, it's shattering. So we may actually, right now, we don't have a physical teacher, and we may claim that, oh, itna अच्छा होता अगर होता physical teacher, but actually अगर होता तो हम उसके साथ रह पाते नहीं, उसकी कोई श्योरिटी नहीं है. It's very hard to be around a genuine physical teacher. But that's what we have to do. Once we have chosen, once we know that this is the path which gives me light, this is the path which takes me higher, then we should stop questioning. Then we have to pinpointedly rely on that teacher. Otherwise, ना इधर के ना उधर के, दो बोट में और पैंट फट रही है बीच में से, तो वो वाली कंडीशन हो जाती है. लकड़ी, कबीर जी सेज, लकड़ी जल कोयला बनी, कोयला जल भयो है राख, मैं अभागन यूं जली, ना कोयला बनी ना राख. सो दो बोट्स के बीच में हम सवार हैं, ना इधर के पूरे हो पा रहे हैं, ना इधर के पूरे हो पा रहे हैं. एंड अभागन, लकड़ी तो पूरी जल के बन गई, कोयला है ना, उसका कुछ हो गया, कोयला पूरा जल के बन गया राख, और मैं अभागन, ना इधर की ना उधर की. तो वो हमारा कंडीशन रहती है. So we have to actually give ourselves loyally to something, someone, in which we have trust. and then not question, because then if the mind keeps on doubting, we actually slow down our own process. So that's what in this passage which we read again, this is what they share, that once you commit, first you observe, first you discern, is it worthwhile to be with this teacher? Are the actions in inclination? Do you feel empowered when you imagine yourself in the presence of this teacher? And once you have decided, they say, then once they had complete confidence in the teacher, they would go into their presence, serve them, and one pointedly put whatever instructions they gave them into practice. So अगर टीचर आज कह रहा है बाथरूम साफ करो, तो आप ये नहीं क्वेश्चन कर रहे, भैया मैं तो तेरे से स्पिरिचुअलिटी सीखने आया हूं, तू बाथरूम साफ करने के लिए क्यों कह रहा है? ये आप क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकते, वो क्वेश्चन वाला टाइम चला गया। अब आपको पता है कि टीचर अगर कह रहा है बाथरूम साफ कर, तो मुझे पता है कि इसमें वो मेरा अच्छा जा रहा है, कुछ ना कुछ है जो मुझे सीखना है, तो फिर आप क्वेश्चन नहीं करते। एंड दैट इज वाई इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू बी अराउंड जेन्युइन फिजिकल टीचर्स, बिकॉज द माइंड डाउट्स। तो अगर बाथरूम साफ करवाया जा रहा है तो हमें लग रहा है कि कुछ गड़बड़ है, निकल लो यहां से। सो दिस इज हाउ द ईगो गेट्स शैटर्ड, है ना। ऐसे काम दिए जाते हैं जो हम विश्वास नहीं कर सकते कि हम कर सकते, which shatters the ego, and that is a compassion of the guru that he is making us do such jobs which actually break down our ego, shatter, so that the true luminosity can arrive. So हमको लगता है कि अच्छा होता physical guru, but it's very challenging. Very sincere discipline and devotee is needed to be around a physical guru. Yeah. लोग भाग के आ जाते हैं, they can't stand, actually many a times people run away, even if it's a true genuine guru. Because if my ego is hard, right, it can't take that shattering. But then if I am so sincere in my aspiration that no, now I have selected, I know this is a genuine guru, and now I'm not going to make a U-turn. So it takes a lot of sincerity for the path and love for the guru, faith on the guru, that he will not mislead, misguide.
Thank you for sharing that, ma'am. I think giving up all all egoistic assumptions, all to me, in my case, I'm talking, all the notions and everything, the things I've been told growing up, that this is right, this is wrong, and this is how one should behave, this is not. I think all these need giving up before I am ready to be a sincere disciple, not just for the guru, but even for the mother also. Because sometimes certain things I read or certain things I listen, they contradict me, like someone they contradict me in a way like someone is a nice boxer who punches me right in the face, and I'm knocked down, in questioning why, how is this right? I haven't been told growing up all this. Now this is a change in pattern. So yeah, to me, especially, giving up on these assumptions I've built, my mind with, uh, need to give them up. So thank you for sharing.
Where is the mind resting? I think for us who may not have physically available gurus, but we have a mother or any direct connection with the divine that we have. So it's very important to see where is the mind resting in the empty pockets of time. If I rest my mind in my loopy thoughts and storylines and always are trying to connect dots there, then I remain confused. But if now I have given myself to some divine or mother or anything that resonates deeply with us, if I have given myself to them, then I must make the mind rest there. सो अगर 5 मिनट का खाली समय मिला है तो उसमें आप अपनी थॉट्स और स्टोरी लाइंस और जो आज लोगों ने कहा, अच्छा मैंने कैसा बोला, उसने कैसा बोला, उसने क्या चाहा जो मैं बोल रहा था, उससे क्या इंटरप्रेट किया, इनकी जगह अगर इफ आई रिमेन इमर्स्ड इन some name of the divine, some form of the divine, that's what Kabir ji calls a holy dip in the Ganges. So that when the mind rises up from this rest, it is a relatively relaxed and purified mind and not a confused and basad macha mind, which usually we have. So I think this is very important because we may intellectually keep on saying that, oh, we have given up ourselves to some form of divine, but we may be practically not doing it. So if there is such a big gulf, then we can forget about it. So, and that it reflects in our day-to-day life. If you see that if even for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm making a choice that no, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I've gotten to myself in between work. Now I'm just going to dip myself in mother's presence or any divine presence that I resonate with. See how much difference it makes in your day-to-day life. It's a tangible difference. It empowers us. It doesn't drain our energy. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है जिसका मेरे को कोई I can't quantify it. No, I can quantify it. It is very tangible. You feel simple. You feel empowered. You don't feel drained in energies because of these loopy chatterings. So we should trust those feelings, practical feelings which I am getting when I am experimenting with these things. And I have this feeling within me. I have this knowing within me which tells what helps me, what doesn't help me. And this just helped me. What 10 minutes I spent in mother's presence, it helped me. So why won't I do it again? So we have to be here a very selfish, one can say. To be selfish that no, this uplifts me, so I want to do this. That does not uplift me, so I won't do that. This is the selection that we are making every moment, whether we know it or not, but we are choosing either to be in the loopy constant loop of our thoughts, or either to be keep the mind home in the body, either centered with the breath or on a divine name. All the time we are choosing, so we have to make right choices. Spirituality, in other words, we can say it's about making right choices. Whatever is benefiting me, uplifting me, empowering me, and leaving whatever is making me weaker and disempowered and confused and fearful. All the things that I have to leave. So yes, my suggestion is that we can take up any last reflections here, and then for today we can pause here. Yeah, anyone wants to share anything before we end? So we'll take up from the second paragraph. So it is difficult and it can be quite a minefield. Here we'll start with next time. Yeah, anyone wants to add on or share any last comments? Okay, so maybe in that case we can close the session today. I'm just reminded of Kabirji's, I think it Kabirji's, where he says, door ko सुलझा रहा है. No, it's not Kabirji's. Somebody else. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name. डोर को सुलझा रहा है और सिरा मिलता नहीं. So you're trying to, all the time we are trying to connect the dots in the head, but it's like as if two threads are entangled together and we don't have either of the ends and we are trying to make it resolve. It's not going to happen. We don't have any of these ends. How will we make them resolve? So I think there comes a time in our life where we have to make a resolve and stop again and again, put effort, stop ourselves into going into again into those slippery slopes and trying to connect all the dots that we are trying to connect in our heads, and keep the mind simple. How simple it is, keeping the mind simple, clean, as we clean our homes, tidy. And if we really wish to have the divine presence living alive in our bodies, then we have to keep the temple clean, neat, tidy, no garbage. Very simple. It can be very simple if we take it bit by bit. Simplicity. So let us keep it simple, else it may be just too complex to maybe make a practical step. So first we'll just make this step, that our mind is not a monkey mind, and we can bring it again and again back in the body. Body is the home of the mind. Thoughts are not. Body is the home. That's why we connect with breath, because breath brings us back into the body. In the thoughts, the mind is bleeding and wounding. But when it is rested in the body, it is relaxed. It is home. So let us just first stabilize our practice there. Slowly things will happen, which will, everyone has their own unfolding in life, and all of us will be shown a clear path. So just taking this last moment, may all of us find clarity, peace, and progress in our lives. May we get convinced to keep our lives simple. We don't know what is to happen next moment, so let us keep it as uncomplicated as possible right now, one day at a time. We are all doing very well, one day at a time. Sharing all the merit with sentient beings near and far. All of us may be well, relaxed, progressive, and happy, and enjoy our day to day gift of this precious human life. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.